Hi guys, welcome to Fierce and Pretty. Han here. Today's video is totally inspired by Saturnarium's videos on her crystals, and most of all, one very specific stone, the Moldavite. So let's talk about my crystals for a moment. It's actually funny when I'm looking all this stuff here on the kitchen table, because I really don't consider myself as a crystal person, not the least. But then when I started to think about how many stones we actually do have in our house, I thought I'd take a basket and collect them all and see what comes up. And this is all I could find for now, but I know there's still somebody lurking in the corners. And actually, now when I saw my hands, I realized that what initially started my, crystal purchasing was turquoise. Suddenly, as years ago, I had this really, intense need of getting turquoise earrings, and I started to look turquoise earrings that had genuine turquoise in gold. And I looked and looked and looked, and I didn't find anywhere. And then I went to visit my sister in Sweden, and I said to her that I even stopped here in Sweden to try to look for these earrings, and I didn't find. And then she said to me that, well, I have a pair exactly like that mom gave them to me, like, I don't know, many years ago, but I don't wear them. Do you want them? And I was so psyched. And this is the pair that I got from my sister that were originally my mom's, and now they are mine. So I think there is a amazing bond there, going from my mom to my big sister and then coming to me. And after I got these earrings, I wanted to find a matching necklace, and that was a bit easier to find. I know the design of the jewelry is like really granny-like, how it's set here, but I have been keeping this necklace ever since I bought it, because they have the exact same kind of hue. Because with turquoise you can have a bit different colorations, so for me it's always need to be this kind of more baby blue type of coloring. Then started a long hunt in the internet for a turquoise ring, and it took me a long time to find this piece. It's a vintage piece. It has a lot of details. It's got yellow gold, and also the middle part here is rose gold. It has some dents, it's worn and torn, and on the inside, it's impossible to try to show on the camera, but here inside it says Handarbeit, so handcrafted in German. I don't have the slightest clue of the story of this ring, but the funny part was that I bought it online and it fits my finger like a glove. It just is like it's made for that finger of mine. Then the turquoise journey continued with this little baby. This one is bought from Finland, and it's made in the 1920s. And it has these small details on the sides and these little pieces of turquoise, these squares in it. This ring is also a vintage ring, but it's not a crystal, it's amber. And it's also a vintage old one, and it has scratches. I haven't found a jeweler who would be able to polish and fix it for me, but I like the worn and torn look. Actually, on this side, in this corner, all these stones here are now my daughter's. So she's more of a crystal person than I am, but other day she keeps asking me some things about crystals, and then we learn about them together. So kind of working with her has got me interested more about crystals also. A lot of these pieces like this, actually all of them bigger pieces here, she has adopted from me. We have some amethyst and rose quartz and citrine and things like that. And many of these raw bites I got while I was ordering sage sticks at some point, like many years ago. And they had a sage bundle and Palo Santo and raw crystals, different crystals in them. But I never used them any other way than just kind of decorational. But she has adopted them, and since then she's been buying a lot of crystals. And actually this piece of jade I bought to her on the medieval festivals because she was requesting a piece of jade. And now when I'm going to Scotland, actually in 15 days, yay, I'm so excited, going back to Edinburgh. So I asked again what she wants as a souvenir from Scotland, and of course she wants a piece of crystal, but this time she requested on malachite. So let's see if I can find her malachite. But what I realized when I was picking this stuff, I actually already have a small piece of malachite with clear quartz crystal at home. So I'm gonna surprise her today with this necklace because I haven't been using it. Just bought it once. I mostly liked the green color. I didn't even know what the F is malachite, but well, she gets this one. Then even before I started to buy these little stones, I bought a few malas from my energy healer. One of her clients was working on these malas, and this is a hematite mala, and it's super heavy. It has silver and this bright pink details, and it's extremely heavy. But I find it really useful when grounding, when I feel too airy. It's not really my aesthetics with the pink that much, but I sometimes wear it while I'm driving long drives or when I need extra grounding. So then I use this hematite necklace. This is the second mala beads that I bought from my energy healer, and I actually don't even remember what is this green stone here. Maybe somebody who knows more about crystals would know immediately, but I'm not sure. But this one I really liked, just the pretty green color. So that's how superficial I am with my crystals sometimes. Then this one is a piece of hematite necklace that I made for the hubby. So I purchased all these different big beads, then the smaller metallic beads, the middle feathers, and this little puffy thing. And I made this necklace by his request. And because of the string was so crappy quality, it actually broke once, and all the pieces were flown all over our downstairs hall, and it has this stone floor, so they were clinging and clanging and bouncing everywhere. But this hasn't been worn a lot because it's a wee bit unreliable, and because hematite is so super heavy. So also on top of making necklaces, I started to make these little keychains with the stones that I bought. This one is stripe agate. I have to have, you know, name tags in them so I remember what is what. Here are two other ones. This is green aventurine with some gold details and just a more simple padlock. And this one is called Mapstone. With a more detailed lock. Then I got, you know, a bunch of these teeny tiny crystal pieces. I don't know what I'm gonna use them with yet, but I have many different stones in these small, like strawberry quartz, clear quartz, red jasper, teeny tiny amethysts, rose quartz, amazonite, peridot, this really dark red garnet, some fluorite, aventurine, I don't know how to pronounce these English names. One stone I really like, some lapis lazuli. That's the name that I even like about the name. Obsidian, tiger's eye, some natural agate, citrine. I think my first ever crystal must have been this piece of clear quartz that I bought it in a tarot shop in Helsinki, and it has since been in this deck case with my small vintage Thoth. And this is the version with the 3 Megis cards. But this quartz, it always lives here. Then my second stone was this weird kind of fingernail shaped lapis lazuli. It's also bought from the same shop in Helsinki. It's fun to fiddle, and you know, it feels cool. I haven't done anything specific with it, but for some reason I wanted to get it. I really like the small details in the lapis lazuli. This one, I have no clue what it is, but it stays in my money bowl. I don't know, because it's green. See, me and my superficial crystal knowledge. Maybe one day I'll know what it is, but I don't know. It feels nice and cold. I like the rough edges on it. Then the first crystal that I really started to work with for the first time, and it was after kind of all this was already in the house, but this was the first that got my attention. And it's this quite pale piece of amethyst, but I love its shapes, and it has little holes and dents, and I have been holding it a lot and had a really intense kind of meditation with it during this summer at the cottage, and I spoke about it. I'm not sure if it was on my Lost Seeker video or one of those. I first spoke about it, and that one always lives here in this case with my Tarot de Marseille Piatnik that I did my biggest deck mod with. Then two of my newest crystals that I actually work now daily is this anhydro crystal, which has the funny masculine shape. Yes, I am a child forever, and this stone just makes me laugh. But this one has the water bubbles inside it. I don't know, I can't capture it on the camera, but there's teeny tiny water bubbles inside this anhydro crystal, and I use it inside my water bottle with the blessed water and trying on it. I might be talking about it later on, how I feel about the practice after I've done it long enough. But today's main point is my newest baby, the Moldavite. For me, it looks like a toad. Can you see it? Can you see the resemblance? Here you see it with some, it's so light in the room, so it's hard to really see it, but with my cell phone light, you see it gets brighter when you have the light. So this is how it looks, lit up. And this is how it looks without the light. So quite dark, not very see-through. Really, really wrinkly. So as I said, I first heard about Moldavite when I was watching Saturnarium's videos, and I got intrigued, really intrigued. So then why, after watching Saturnarium's video, and I had never heard about Moldavite before, and now I feel so surprised that I haven't heard about this stone, because now when I started to research it more, it seems that it has been everywhere. But you know guys, I haven't had a TikTok until a week ago when my daughter installed a TikTok to my phone. I still don't know how to use it. But I'm super clueless about the trends. I'm more of a classics girl. But I started to research after watching Saturnarium's video. I actually got a bit obsessed one Sunday and searched all around the internet the whole day about Moldavite. And then I started to look at the buying options and how much there are fakes. And nobody wants to be fooled and buy and invest kind of a lot of money into a fake stone. So it took forever, but actually then I found a jeweler in Finland, which I consider highly trustworthy. And they had two bigger pieces of Moldavite, and they also had these really, really small pieces. But I was drawn to this one, this little toad one, and I went and ordered it. I thought that, what the heck, let's do it Scorpio style, and let's go straight away to the deep end. As always, it's just my style. I always do these things jumping straight to the deep end. This toad is just a second example of my way of trying these new things. But I'm planning on following up on this process, because that's also what Saturnarium is doing, and keeping us updated how the Moldavite journey goes. I've now had this piece for 5 days, so it's only very initial experiences. But when I first got it and I was holding it, and by the way, when I hold other crystals, I've never felt a thing. And that's probably one thing why I haven't considered myself a crystal person, because it's whatever I'm holding, nothing. It's just, they are beautiful, colorful pieces of rocks to me. So I was being super skeptic, because I thought that I'm just not geared that way. And so I had a really skeptic attitude when I got my Moldavite. So I put it on my palm and was sitting with it. And the first thing that I felt was a pulse. For me, it felt like this little frog had a little heart that had a faster heartbeat than mine. It kind of reminded me when I was pregnant and when I was listening to my daughter's heartbeat on the Doppler device, and how her heart was beating like double the rate of mine. But this Moldavite toad its heartbeat, I don't know, I'd guess it was like a bit over 100 beats a minute, when mine was kind of like, when I was sitting, probably closer to 50 beats a minute. So it was fast. I was feeling the pulse. But for me, there was no heat. Everything was super cold. And where I felt the cold the most was around my heart. And I've had few experiences like in energy healing and in meditation and these other events when I felt this really, really icy cold, like so cold it's burning, like the coldest ice that you could imagine put around your heart. And that's what I felt with this Moldavite, and that's what I still feel when I put it on top of my bare chest. Because what I've been doing with this, initially I just got to know it, I held it, I felt these sensations, and then I've had it with me at work every day. So when I'm working, it sits in my leather jacket's pocket. When I'm driving in the car, I hold it, I keep it on my lap. And when I get to home, if I read a book, I lay on my back, I put this on top of my bare chest, on top of my heart. I've held it on top of my forehead, on my throat, and all the time the feelings are cold. The first day when I drove to work with this, I was freezing in the car and I had to crank up the heat, and that's not really normal for me. I'm normally more of a sweaty person than a cold person. So the coldness really surprised me with this stone. And the lightheadedness I can agree to. So even though I have been really skeptic about it, I have gotten more lightheaded. Like for example, I forgot to pack a thing to work, and I've worked in this same job for almost 8 years and I've never forgotten a crucial part like that. But yesterday I did. But the surprising positive thing has been that whenever this has been with me now in work, my work has been super busy and we've been doing this really, really daunting project. But things have been going on so smoothly. The project involves me going to several different people, visiting them at the hospital, and every piece needs to be, in sync. And people have been so kind, so helpful, and things have been running super smoothly otherwise in work, except me being a bit lightheaded and fuzzy in the brain. But otherwise, I think in the work, it's been more positive than negative. And I've also been sleeping with it. So the first night was funny. I took this to bed with me and I put it underneath my pillow. And because I sleep usually on my stomach and I hold my arms or my palms underneath the pillow, under my face. And this Moldavite was there. And that night was weird. Because normally when I fall asleep, I sleep super well. I sleep like a log. Normally I don't even remember a lot of my dreams. I've been trying to learn that more and been working on that more. But on that night, I kept having this emotion this feeling that I was awake several times, but I still was asleep. It wasn't like lucid dreaming. I was kind of waking up, but fell asleep right away. And then in the middle of the night, I woke up in this crazy banging sound. Boom! It was really loud, and I realized that I must have thrown the Moldavite down on the floor, on the wooden floor, and it made a huge sound. But I was too exhausted, too tired. I realized, oh no, I dropped my Moldavite, but then I fell asleep, back asleep again. And in the morning when I woke up, my first thought was like, okay, where is it? Yeah, there it was, next to my bed. And I've been sleeping with this every night since. Nothing crazy has happened since then. And I've had a few meditations with it. The first one I did was a guided meditation, actually on Spotify. It was named a Moldavite meditation somehow. And actually it was kind of really powerful, and I was crying at the end. And then yesterday I came home. I had gotten my second COVID vaccination the day before, and I started to feel kind of sick yesterday in the afternoon. I came home, I went straight to bed and took all my clothes off, went under the blanket. I was feeling cold, and I put this Moldavite on top of my heart and went into a meditation lying down without no music, without anything. And the experience was really similar to things that I've felt in energy healing sessions with my own energy healer. I started to see the same colors, because in energy healing, it's kind of like, I see a lot of deep purple. Most of it is deep purple, but then there is also some green, this vivid kind of neon green bursting what I saw. But mostly my energy healing color experience are really, dark purple. And it was a long meditation, like an hour, and I almost fell asleep at some point, but I didn't. And there was my daughter and her friends were making loud noises in the house, and suddenly something alerted me from my meditation, but I still was in it. But I felt like I was holding, my hands were next to me, but I felt like I was holding on to something really tight with both of my hands. I had this feeling, but actually my hands were open next to me when I finally opened my eyes. But the feeling was that I was clenching onto something. So who knows what that was about, but kind of intense feelings. I did wash my Moldavite when I got it. I did cleanse it. I cleansed it with because I still had some old sage, even though I'm not really buying white sage anymore, but I had a sage leaf. I cleansed it and I let it soak in the water. The last of the bottle that I collected in this sacred well, my pilgrimage on these old Finnish sacred nature places this summer, and I collected this water from the well. So I used the last water from the well to let this baby have a bath after I had first washed it under tap water and cleansed it with sage. So let's see what happens. And now, since my daughter got me the TikTok, I went and scrolled on the Moldavite videos there and seen some of them, but I don't feel afraid at all with this Moldavite. Probably it's because I've had these, stuck emotions. I spoke about it on my Lost Seeker Part 2 video, how I've been really feeling this kind of Eight of Swords energy a long time lately. So if these Moldavites do the scary things as people say that they do, I don't mind if, some Eight of Cups moments will arise, or something like Eight of Wands energy. Because when I was talking about the energy of the eights, there are all kind of really different energies. But at least for me, when I don't have either the courage or kind of no means to do anything I decided to go with the eight of discs energy most. And if this little toad of a Moldavite decides to change it in some way, then I just have to welcome all the energies that are meant to happen. So let's see how it goes. I think I will do a follow-up on this Moldavite later on. It might take a long while to see if something happens, if something bigger happens than what I've been feeling now. But at least for the first time, I was able to really sense the energies from a crystal, even though, yes, I know Moldavite isn't kind of technically a crystal, it's a tektite, and you know, you probably all know all these things about Moldavite already, and if you don't, there are a lot of videos, even good ones, on the YouTube. So this was my actually surprisingly crystally video from a girl who considers herself not a crystal person and focusing on the Moldavite. I think it's fun to have the opportunity to have something to share with my daughter when she seems to be really keen to the crystals. If you have any thoughts or experiences on Moldavite, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Or what is your favorite crystals, or do you consider yourself a crystal person at all? I'd like to hear about your practices with crystals, because still, even now looking at this table, I don't really consider myself a crystal person. Maybe somebody else would, but at least now, for the first time, I'm actively working with the Moldavite and then my anhydro crystal. So at least now I have some structure. So until next time, bye guys.